A teaching philosophy is a thoughtful expression that reflects a teacher's fundamental ideas and beliefs about education. It explains how these ideas influence their methods in the classroom. A teaching philosophy is a dedication to the type of teacher one inspires to be. In my opinion, this entails creating an environment in the classroom where my students are comfortable, involved, and eager to learn, where each student's uniqueness is acknowledged and where diversity is not just noticed but also valued. Education, in my eyes, is a transforming and evolving framework. Over time, it has grown from an inflexible structure with set ways to now a flexible and adaptable system that advocates to satisfy the various requirements of each individual student. As a pre-service teacher, I see my job as facilitating change in the way that education is provided and how students perceive it. I want my classroom to be a place where students feel encouraged to take charge of their education, ask questions, and express themselves freely. The Alice Springs Education Declaration, which defines a national commitment to justice and excellence in Australian education, serves to reinforce this vision. According to the Department of Education, Skills and Employment, a top-notch educational system should encourage and enable every student to be the absolute best they can, no matter where they reside or what kind of learning obstacles they may experience. This strong declaration supports my philosophy that educators have an obligation to give all kids inclusive and equal opportunities regardless of background or situation. My teaching philosophy is centered on the value of solid, encouraging connections. I aspire to be a teacher who doesn't just deliver the content but genuinely knows her students, knows how each of them differ, and knows what works best for them all. I will make the effort to make each student feel heard and noticed, and I will value their accomplishments. Noel Notting's work, which emphasises the value of positive relationships in the classroom in her theory of ethics of care, greatly influences this dedication. According to Nottings, meaningful relationships are the cornerstone of successful learning, and children learn to care by being cared for. To put this in action, this is paying attention to what children have to say, demonstrating empathy and creating an environment in the classroom where reciprocal sympathy, kindness, and respect are ingrained in daily encounters. In addition to this, I draw inspiration from Gloria Ladson-Billings' culturally relevant pedagogy philosophy, which is based on three main objectives: critical consciousness, cultural competency, and academic success. CRP advocates for a teaching approach that values students' cultural identities and makes use of them as resources in the classroom. She incorporates their languages, customs, and life experiences, and they'll be honoured for their significant contributions to our education. The 4 R's of culturally relevant pedagogy, respect, relevance, responsibility, and reciprocity, are also discussed by Ladson-Billings. These principles guide my lesson planning, interaction, structure, and classroom community building. I will honour the reciprocal nature of teaching and learning, acknowledge that I too learn from my students, make sure that learning is relevant to their lives and interests, assist them taking ownership of their education, and respect my students' identities and backgrounds. The Australian Professional Standards for Teachers and these ideas are highly compatible. As a future teacher, I will implement practices that serve children from a variety of socio-economic, linguistic, cultural, and religious backgrounds which meet Standard 1.3. By making sure that every classroom activity represents and validates my students' lived realities, I hope to satisfy this. The significance of tailored instruction in meeting each student's unique learning needs is emphasised in Standard 1.5. To make my classroom an interesting space and accessible for all students, I will employ a variety of strategies including visual aids, group projects, practical exercises, and one-on-one coaching. Encouraging involvement and maintaining the well-being of students are also essential parts of a helpful and inclusive environment. I'll follow Standard 4.1 in ensuring that my classroom is a secure and encouraging space for my students. A classroom where students feel comfortable exchanging ideas, helping each other, and taking chances. The importance of preserving students' physical, emotional, and social safety is further emphasised in Standard 4.4. This, in my opinion, is promoting civil communication, appreciating diversity, and approaching problems fairly and compassionately. I want my students to love learning above everything else. Learning ought to be interesting, enjoyable, and meaningful. It needs to give one sense of direction. In addition, I want my students to leave the classroom with self-assurance, a passion for learning, and a feeling that their opinions count. As I am aware that my philosophy will change as I start my career as a teacher, I want to continue to adapt to the evolving needs of my students and the communities I'm a part of. For the time being, my philosophy that I promise to my students is to value each of them for who they are, educate with passion, and really care for my students.